Hey, I want to show you one of my favorite sketchbooks. It's from my long trip through Asia, and it's full of drawings and paintings and stories and adventures and ideas and inspiration. And I can't wait to take you through every single page of it. But first, I want to thank our sponsor, Saily, for keeping me connected whenever I travel around the world. I'll tell you more about that in a second. So I got this incredible opportunity. I was invited by several schools across Asia to come and spend time telling kids about illustrated journaling, about how to use drawing as a way of learning about the world. And so I got to go to, first of all, Kuala Lumpur, later Beijing, eventually Hanoi, and then I went through Europe to a bunch of places, but I'm going to focus on just the first couple places today. Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and then Beijing in China. So what I want to do is I want to take you through my sketchbook and show you what I experienced and what I made there. All right, here is my beautiful Venezia sketchbook by Fabriano. I use my sketchbook to not just do drawings, but also to paste in pictures of me hanging out with the kids and drawing and doing stuff in the school. Here I am addressing a big assembly. So I begin my travel leaving from the airport in New York City. Movies that I watched on the plane, books that I was reading. Here it's a globe, and I'm showing myself flying to Hong Kong, which is my first destination to switch planes, the meal that I got, and here is my flight to Hong Kong and then to Kuala Lumpur. And this is all done on the plane, hanging out, pull out a little set of watercolors and do stuff. Here I am in Kuala Lumpur, the Petronas Towers, really jet-lagged, and drawing quickly with a brush. I saw this beautiful koi pond, and I spent some time just drawing these fish, which were kind of difficult to draw, but I drew with a brush pen. They were moving around, threw on a bit of gouache. You see motor scooters, of course, everywhere in Asia. A lot of people in uniform. Malaysia has different ethnic groups. They have Chinese people, they have Malaysian people, I think there are Indian people, and different kinds of architecture too. I would just plop down in a seat and just draw whatever was in front of me. Typical street corner, lots of different kinds of offices and stores and all the different lettering. Just a lovely crowded scene. And yeah, here's the guy who's working on shoes, sitting on the street corner outside the 7-Eleven. So it's an interesting combination of sort of traditional things and very modern things. The Hindu cemetery and this incredible gravestone. And this is actually on a golf course. You can see here there's a monkey sitting in the trees. So this beautiful building is the train station across from the Malayan National Mosque. So I always write stuff, on my pages. Here you can see it says Allahu Akbar is the call to prayer. So that was my trip to Malaysia, and I have such vivid memories of it because I can remember so many details about each of those little individual stores where the curry buffet was. I remember what the atmosphere and the scent of the streets was like and the noise. All that stuff is deeply rooted in my brain, but it's all there because of this intense focus that I had while doing a drawing. This is my journal entry from when I was waiting at the Beijing airport at the end of my trip, ready to come home. And you can see here the different things that you could order for lunch in this airport. Herbal turtle jelly, braised pig cartilage, donkey and brown sauce, bullfrog tripe soup, and a Whopper with bacon. Beijing airport, get on the plane, and suddenly, not so fast, I'm not going to be flying home. Our plane sat there for 2 hours. And then we were told that the flight was canceled. And I couldn't get onto the Wi-Fi. You needed a special VPN. I couldn't do that. Here's me avoiding the buffet. I didn't have any clean laundry. And I was stuck in this airport for 2.5 days. It was a nightmare. I couldn't use the Chinese phone service. Hardly anybody spoke English. I didn't have internet access to rebook my flight. I was stuck and stranded. Unfortunately, I didn't know about our sponsor, Saily. When they first told me about Saily, I flashed back immediately to this trip to China because it was so difficult to get access. So what is Saily? Well, It is an eSIM app. That means that instead of having to pull that little thing out of your phone and stick in another thing, if you can find that thing, if you can find a place to buy it, you just download a digital SIM card and it goes straight to your phone. You don't need to hunt around for newsstands. You don't need to wait in line. You don't need to hand over whatever little cash, local cash you have to strangers to get a physical SIM. With Saily, you just download it and you're connected. You just install the SIM once and you're set. And you do that at home before you even leave, so you've just got it with you. But I was going from New York to Hong Kong to Malaysia to China to Hanoi. And with Saily, it doesn't matter. If you're going to different countries, you just get one plan and it covers 180 different countries. So you don't need to swap SIM cards. You don't need to go and track down a local phone company. And it's really affordable. I mean, you don't pay expensive roaming fees. And also, if you use our discount code, you save even more. Just put in Sketchbook School, one word, when you check out. You don't have to search around for public Wi-Fi. You don't have to get stuck without the internet like I did. You don't have to, I mean, there's a lot of scams, particularly in countries where you may not speak the language. You often can see like guys who are selling SIM cards in the street. And it works whether you have iOS, whether you have Android, it's all perfect. So here's all you do. Before you travel, you download the Saily app to your phone, and then you choose a data plan, whether it's for one country or multiple destinations. And then you put in my exclusive code here, Sketchbook School, and you get a 15% discount. And that's it. If you're going anywhere overseas, whether it's in Mexico or Europe, anywhere in the world, you will instantly be connected. It's as if you're still at home. So now let me tell you about China, because that was just, what a trip that was. And it's so cool, so interesting, and so many interesting experiences. So again, I was at this incredible school in Beijing, and I would sit with the kids and draw this pagoda. I did it several times, in fact. They also had this giant dragon head that I thought was really cool. And so I sat with kids, and you know, here I write about just my experience of what it was like to hang out with these different kids and be in China. Three-wheeled vehicles, I saw an awful lot of them, and I had this idea for doing a big painting or a big kind of oversized sketchbook page all about three-wheeled vehicles that you saw everywhere and all the different kinds of ones that you saw there. And so I painted this giant piece of cardboard the way that I do a sketchbook page. It was also a great opportunity to show the kids how I did it and to have them watch me while I do it, and for me to show them how you combine words and writing and all these little different illustrations. It was a terrific experience. And here I did just a series of little drawings of what it was like to be stuck in traffic and just the little things that I saw out of the window. Here we had a classic dish, Peking duck. Peking, of course, is what Beijing used to be called. And I drew the ducks themselves and the guys who were cooking them. And then I decided to do another painting. I was inspired by all of this art that I had seen from the Cultural Revolution and from, you know, the origins of the Chinese Communist Party, this heroic Chinese social realism stuff. And so I did a painting of several of the cafeteria workers who I thought were just very cool. Here's the Great Wall of China in the background. And they were doing a lot of work around the Great Wall of China. They were developing some kind of tourist site. So I did some drawings of that. We went to this little village restaurant, and then there was this little kid there, and he came over and wanted to watch me draw, and so I did a quick drawing of him. There were lots of posters of Chairman Mao everywhere, so I did my own drawing of him. And here's this little village outside of the Great Wall of China. Another thing that I noticed in China was everybody was doing stuff in the streets. Older people were all constantly exercising. I saw people doing dancing. This is my favorite thing, walking and smoking. A lot of older people looking after younger kids. And I made another big painting out of that. Also, to just point out, I mean, I just love noticing things and pointing out to these kids at the school that they lived in a really incredible place, and there were a lot of interesting things going on. When I was there, it was the Mid-Autumn Festival, and they made these things called moon cakes to celebrate. But also, the sun had smog on it. It was almost eclipsing. And so I made a big painting about this phenomenon of the sun and the moon. And then I wrote in Chinese what I learned about it. And I put down some facts about these two different things. Here I talk about the cardboard paintings that I'd been doing and just talking about how I felt about it. Here's a sort of a bit of a health diagnosis. 2 weeks of talking and breathing Beijing air have left my throat raw and my chest tight and tickly. Here I am coughing. And then I wandered into an abandoned village chased by a pack of wild dogs. It was actually kind of scary. There were these parts of the city near where I was staying that were just a ghost town. And here I painted them I drew them really in watercolor, a farming village that had been basically abandoned because it was going to be pulled down and new construction was going to go there. I wrote Ghost Town. Once 2,000 people lived, farmed, danced, and sang here. 150 remain. Some beautiful architecture there. Here's a bulldozer just rumbled by. I can remember my emotions of being there and kind of having a sadness about this incredible dynamic city, but also that it was being built on history and being changed in a way that will never be gathered again. Beijing is also, it's this modern city, but also there's still farmers around and there's still people who came from small villages to the city. And so you see things like this where there were these chickens and ducks just wandering down around the street in an alley eating garbage and foraging. I was trying to show students how you could draw something very simple like a piece of toast and really get into the detail of it. But also my breakfast. And here's the crazy Beijing traffic. Here's my bus. I was always terribly paranoid about missing my bus to school. Fortunately, it never happened. Here is some Chinese writing. I loved Chinese writing. And you would see people drawing literally on the sidewalk with these giant sponge brushes to practice their calligraphy. And here this says, a creative life is a better life. Here's giant Buddha that I visited in a temple. Here's some useless cab driver directions from the front desk of my hotel. So you see this all over Asia. I saw it in Vietnam as well. These electric poles with just thousands of wires on them. Here's some nice notes that children had written me about how much they'd enjoyed my visit. And here's some more pictures of me with kids in Beijing. Maps that I would always drawing so I didn't get lost. So yeah, that's my sketchbook. Now, obviously, you don't have to go to China to keep an illustrated journal like this. This is the kind of thing that I do on a regular basis to record my life, to understand it better, to create better memories. And all you need is a pen and a notebook and the willingness to look a little closer, whether it's your backyard or a city halfway across the world. There's so many things waiting to be noticed. You know, sometimes when I post videos like this, people say, oh, well, it's easy for you. You draw so well. I've been drawing like this for a really long time, and that's how I've gotten better and more fluid with doing it. But the point isn't really how good your drawing is. The point is that when you go through this process of sitting and really looking at the scene that you're in and recording it with a pen on paper, your memories, your experiences are so enhanced because our brains are designed to process visual images. And if you slow down and you really pay attention, you'll see and learn so much from every environment that you're in. I learned a great deal about China and Malaysia. I can still remember so many parts of this trip because of this process, because of this memory aid that I have here. So I urge you, get yourself a notebook or a sketchbook and just start recording your daily life. And if you travel somewhere exotic, absolutely bring along some art supplies, bring along your sketchbook, and don't forget also to sign up for Saily before you go. If you do, you get a 15% discount and you also be connected. So then if you do something really cool in your sketchbook, you can take a picture of it and you can share it with your friends on social media. They'll be jealous of you and the great time that you're having. So thanks for going to Asia with me, and thanks for thinking about starting your own illustrated sketchbook and doing it today.